The gods in ancient Greek mythology are fickle beings, often depicted not as benevolent gods devoid of wants of the flesh. On the contrary, they're more like superpowered lordly humans with all the bad qualities of humanity. They pick a fight and betray each other over the smallest, pettiest things. They dole out punishment like candies on Halloween and lie and steal from each other all the time. Which brings us to our story today, Hades' kidnapping of Persephone. To give some context to the story, we'll start at the beginning of the Olympians' rise to sovereignty. Right after they won the Titan War, Zeus took his sisters Hera, Hestia, and Demeter as his consorts. For this story, we're going to give more focus on Demeter. Now, Demeter was worshipped as the goddess of the grain, though since most crops being harvested during the times of ancient Greek were that of grains, her worship became synonymous with the harvesting of crops. As such, her prominence rose to the surface of human thoughts every time harvest season came around. Unlike most of the male gods in the Greek pantheon, who covet offerings of blood, glory, flesh, and sacrifices, the offerings made to Demeter were products of hard work and labor. Since the tilling of soil and harvesting of crops were mostly carried out by women during those times, it stands to reason that the deity presiding over such acts would also be female. And then, from the union of Zeus and Demeter came Persephone, the Lady of Spring. She grew up to be a very beautiful goddess, beloved by many. When Hades, lord of the underworld, saw her, he immediately fell in love with his niece. You might remember that after the Titan War, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades drew lots to decide who would rule over what. Hades got the underworld as his prize and had been ruler of it ever since. Sadly for him, the dead were often associated with things bad and dreary, which wasn't all that surprising since there's barely anything of beauty in the underworld. Seeing Persephone's radiance though, a sick plot started to develop within Hades to spirit away Persephone to his realm. On one sunny day, Persephone was out in the fields over the hills with her close friends, the ocean nymphs. They were out frolicking and gathering flowers, spending the day in joyful chatter. Persephone wanted to go find the best narcissus flower in the fields and surprise her nymph friends with it, so she went away alone in secret while her friends weren't paying attention. When she was completely separated from the group, Hades hatched his plan to abduct her. The ground where Persephone was looking suddenly opened up, opening a way to the fiery underworld. Hades appeared from within, riding on his golden chariot, pulled by black steeds. He wasted no time and immediately took Persephone with him into the underworld, leaving no trace of her on the surface. Persephone cried out for help, but it was too late, the portal had closed. The hills and the seas echoed her cry for help, and it reached her mother, Demeter. Upon hearing it, she immediately scoured the earth and the sea, looking for her missing daughter. None would tell her the truth of what had happened to Persephone. For 9 days she searched, all the while refusing to consume ambrosia and nectar. Racked with worry and fear, she finally came to the sun itself and inquired of her daughter's whereabouts. Helios took pity and revealed to her that Persephone was no more among the living. She had been taken to the dreary land of the dead deep inside the earth. Demeter was heartbroken at this, for she knew that once someone is whisked away to the underworld, the chances of them ever getting out is slim to none, even when they're divine beings. In grief, she left Olympus and traveled the earth, eventually coming to the town of Eleusis, where a group of people who worshipped her resided. While she was traversing the earth, she took on the disguise of an old woman. Her camouflage was so good that no god or human were able to discern that she was actually Demeter. In Eleusis, she was sitting on a nearby well when a group of women who were fetching water for their house came and talked to her. They were wondering who she was, as they had never seen her before. She said that she was escaping from pirates who wanted to sell her as a slave. Hearing this, the group of women quickly returned to their home to ask their mother, Metaneira, if they could invite old lady Demeter to stay at their house. Being the kind woman that she was, Metaneira agreed. As Demeter entered the house, Metaneira saw a divine radiance emanating from Demeter and was filled with awe. She offered Demeter her honey wine, but Demeter refused and instead asked for barley water with mint leaf. This beverage was also the drink served to reapers during harvest time, and also as a sacred drink given to worshippers of Demeter at her temples. With this, Demeter's heavy heart was somewhat alleviated, and she embraced Metaneira's young son, Demophon, enveloping him with her radiance. Metaneira was happy to have old lady Demeter at her house, so Demeter decided to stay there and help care for Demophon, which Metaneira happily allowed. What she didn't know though was that Demeter anointed him with ambrosia every day and placed him in the heart of a burning fire during the night. As time went by though, Metaneira grew uneasy over Demeter's relationship with her son, so one night she sneaked to see what they were doing every night. To Metaneira's horror, she saw Demophon being placed in the fire and immediately screamed. She didn't know that Demeter was doing this as a gift for both Metaneira and Demophon, as she wanted to spare the young boy from mortality and old age. Demeter was angered that her gift was seen as an act of sorcery, so she rescinded her gift of immortality to Demophon. But since the boy had lain on her knees and in her arms, he would still have honor throughout his mortal life. Then and there, she took off her mortal disguise and revealed her radiant and beautiful self, the goddess Demeter. She ordered Metaneira to build a great temple for her in Eleusis, so they could win back her favor. After Demeter left, Metaneira quickly relayed this message to everyone in Eleusis, and they immediately labored to build Demeter's great temple. Upon its completion, Demeter came and resided there to wallow in her grief, away and apart from the gods of Olympus. During the year of Demeter's absence from office, the world suffered greatly. No crops would grow, tilled soil produced nothing, the earth became barren. Finally, Zeus saw this and decided that he had to take matters into his own hand. He knew the only way Demeter's broken heart could be mended was if she could meet their daughter again, so he sent Hermes, his trusted messenger, to Hades to negotiate and bring Persephone back home. While the gods are often petty and shallow, they weren't fools. Hades knew that if this continues, the balance of the cosmos wouldn't hold and all creatures on Earth would become extinct. He also knew, more importantly, that he couldn't defy the orders of his brother and king, Zeus. Upon hearing this news, Persephone beamed and was overjoyed to finally return back to the surface. In lieu of all this, Hades agreed to let Persephone go back to Olympus. However, he sweet-talked Persephone to remember fondly of him as a loving husband, and made her eat a pomegranate seed before she left. Hades did this because he knew that anyone who ate pomegranate seed from the underworld would inevitably return there, securing Persephone's return to him for good. Hermes was ordered by Zeus to bring Persephone straight to Demeter's great temple at Eleusis, so he hastened with all speed there and delivered Persephone to Demeter. The two rejoiced and wept happily at this reunion, and Demeter's grief-stricken heart began to heal. As they were talking of what had transpired to them both during their time apart, Demeter was saddened to hear about the pomegranate seed Persephone ate, because she knew it meant that she would inevitably return back to the underworld. As this was happening, Zeus sent another messenger to Demeter and Persephone. This time he picked their mother Rhea to relay some things to Demeter. Rhea told the mother and daughter that Persephone must return to the underworld for 4 months every year, which is 1/3 of the year, since Hades has dominion over 1/3 of the realm. Though Demeter was saddened to hear this, she was more happy that their reunion wasn't finite. They could still be together for 8 months every year. Then goodness returned to Demeter's healing heart. She felt sorry towards the mortals for the fruitlessness and desolation she brought to the land, so she made the earth green and plentiful once again. Every year when Persephone came back to the surface, spring would come with her to the earth. Verdant green would cover the land, accompanied by the beautiful blooming of flowers all around. Then as the year approaches towards the time when Persephone had to leave Demeter, the plants would wilt, just as Demeter's heart grew heavier as the moment of parting grows closer, bringing about autumn. And during the 4 months of Persephone's absence from the land, winter would come and blanket the earth, reflecting the state of Demeter's sadness and emptiness. This cycle would repeat every year, bringing about the cycle of seasons we're all familiar with nowadays. And so it was that the conditions of Demeter's heart would manifest through the seasons on earth. As a goddess of the harvest, she might not seem like much, but it's also true that perhaps she reigns over one of the most important dominions on earth, as no mortal would survive without the sustenance she provides. Meanwhile, Persephone became the symbol of all that is good that has an expiration date, as each spring would bring about the thoughts of beauty and happiness on earth. But come winter, everyone was once again reminded that beauty came from a place of hardship, and it also comes to an end eventually, which very poetically made things of beauty more beautiful. One might say everything worked out in the end, but really, this story is another prime example of how fickle the gods in Greek mythology are, and how mortals seem to be the one who always suffered because of their misdeeds. Another example of a famous Greek story that was caused by their pettiness is the Trojan War, which took place because of a petty squabble between Athena, Aphrodite, and Hera. But that's a tale for another time.